Hello everyone and welcome to Top Tips for Archaeological Graduates, and today I'm joined by Bethany, who's going to tell us about how her Masters in Buildings Archaeology has gone on to lead her to create her own company. So welcome, Bethany. Would you like to talk a little bit about what your company does and some of the things that you do in kind of your day-to-day job?
Sure. Yeah, so my company is called Experience Heritage, and so our tagline is we bring history to life. So we do digital offerings for heritage groups like museums and trusts, and we focus largely on doing 3D modeling and app development for those as a way to kind of make their offerings more accessible to more people. Yeah, so I do a lot of 3D modeling, web development, app development, photogrammetry, things like that.
So did you learn all of those techniques within your degree? Did you bring any sort of external expertise into this, or did you develop these skills within archaeology?
I did actually. I started out 3D modeling in the program. So that was one of the main reasons, well, that was a large reason I came to York, because they had the 3D modeling course as well as buildings archaeology. I wanted to combine both of those. So I did start that and the photogrammetry. Those were both techniques that I picked up during the master's. I did do film before I came to York. So I had some of that in my background, and I've been self-teaching on the app development stuff. And my brother also is part of the company, and has been doing app development for like 15 years. So he kind of brings his expertise in that department.
So that's fantastic. Both skills with sets within your experience at York, but also expertise drawing on family relationships as well. So how did you go about setting up the company?
It's been a winding road. I started out as a sole trader as I was finishing up my master's dissertation. Because I'm American, I had to go through the process of getting a visa, which was a huge thing, and it's still kind of an ongoing process. So that's been a consideration for me. But yeah, it's just been about finding the gap in the market, which I thought was having, digital media and having a company that does digital media but understands heritage as well. And because I studied archaeology, I thought that I could bridge those two really well and produce a product that no one seems to be offering, which is just having that expertise for that specific market. And then I just kind of have gone through the process of kind of self-teaching and learning how to run a business by taking, webinars and going to meetings and taking advantage of a lot of the opportunities that the university provide, including being part of the phase 1 incubator, which is located there, and kind of just utilizing all the connections that I'd made throughout that process to get myself started with a few projects. Yeah, just kind of learning as I go, really.
So what's it like to be self-employed?
I really enjoy it. There's challenges, obviously, because especially as a small business and doing it largely by myself, I'm kind of doing 7 jobs at a time, and time is always an interesting thing. You don't always get weekends and nights off and things like that. But I enjoy the freedom of, making the decisions and kind of following what I find the market to be taking things, and just kind of being like, oh, I think people are more interested in heritage apps or photogrammetry right now. So kind of pushing that and following where that leads, rather than having to make sure that I follow a specific guideline because of a business. So, yeah.
So I guess I always want to ask in these things, what's the most challenging part of your role? What do you find the most challenging thing that you do on a daily basis?
I think it's just balancing all the different tasks, because I've got a full workload of just business admin things, and then I've got a full day workload of the digital, the workload stuff. So it's about trying to figure out, what's the priority and how do I get all of the things done to keep the business running, but also to, keep the clients happy. So I think, and scaling up and being able to take some more help on will be the next step that I'm already looking into. So it's just about how do you transition that while you're still kind of not really making the money to be able to hire someone on full time and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. So a lot of different tasks to balance, a very varied role, but also I imagine you get to be quite creative as well in app development and responding to the kind of things that clients want.
Yeah, that's what I really enjoy about it. I've always had a very creative streak, and the creation of the 3D models or whatever it is that I'm doing, I almost feel like that's like when I'm working on that, I almost feel like I'm cheating because I'm not, it doesn't feel like work. It's just kind of, I do it for fun. So yeah, I find that really fun, but yeah, I think I enjoy all parts of it really, but being able to use my creativity as part of a job is really exciting. Yeah.
Is there anything particular that's really stood out to you that you've really enjoyed doing or you're particularly proud of in terms of the things that you've produced?
I still look back at my work at, I reconstructed Slingsby Castle as part of my master's dissertation. And that's really kind of my passion, is to use digital technology to better understand lost structures. So that's kind of my my beacon that what can be accomplished using digital technology and research to understand things that are no longer there. And I hope to do more of that kind of work, but that comes less into kind of the commercial side of things when you're working for museums and things, because they already know the research side of things. So yeah.
So you mentioned there your dissertation, and I just wondered what kind of skills and knowledge did you gain from your degree? I guess both those kind of concrete things that are going on to work within the heritage sector, but also the kind of transferable skills that you developed as well.
Yeah, well, I think I learned a lot about what it means to use digital technology in archaeology as I was working on that, and not always using digital technology just as a flashy thing to draw people's attention, but how do we actually use it to make the experience better or help people really learn something, but also about like preservation. How do we keep this digital tech, like the 3D models that we create, how do we keep those long term so that they're usable far into the future after technology changes, and all these different things that you really have to think about. And as out of the process of doing my dissertation was when I was kind of realizing that there was this gap for media artists working with archaeologists and trying to create something, and having to kind of translate back and forth, and how there was this need for someone kind of in the middle doing both. So yeah, that was really important during that time.
Yeah. What about the kind of transferable skills then? So I guess the soft skills. What kind of things do you think you came out of with after finishing your master's course?
Lots of researching, and I did planning club, which was really useful as far as assessing buildings and understanding what goes into when you want to change something, or just kind of all the requirements that are involved there. And yeah, I guess I guess I kind of look at all the technical skills as transferable, just because those can be used in so many different ways. Yeah, there was a lot. A year goes by really quickly, and you don't really think about all of the stuff that you've kind of picked up along the way, but it all does kind of coalesce, and especially around the kind of things that you're particularly interested in, I think. Yeah.
It's interesting that you picked up on research. So you've not gone on to develop a research career, but it sounds like you're using research every day in what you're doing, whether it's sort of directly for researching buildings that you're creating apps around, or whether it's sort of navigating a route through the business admin as well. You needed to kind of get up to speed with that, and that involves those kind of research processes as well. So I was really interested to see you pick that up as being one of those transferable skills. We often think about research as being very focused on just on archaeology and maybe going on to do a PhD, but actually here it's been really useful for you. So just to end our chat, really, I wonder, do you have any tips or advice you'd like to offer to students who wanted to follow in your footsteps?
I always tell people to just take advantage of all the connections that you'll have made through your university, because, you know, they're really supportive if you just let them know what you're trying to achieve. And don't think about, you know, if you have, like I come from a theater and film background, and I never thought that I would be able to combine that with archaeology. But in fact, like those things come really well together in the business that I've created now. So you just never know what your kind of varied experiences in your life might come together to create. And then also just kind of, I think it's really important to find your niche, and let people know what that is, so that when, you know, they need someone to do something specifically, they'll think of you. Because like I really made myself known as the person who wanted to do the digital stuff while I was in the archaeology of buildings program. And so when they needed someone to do that kind of specific thing, they always thought of me for that. So yeah, I think that's really helpful and important.
Thank you. A really great advice, finding your niche, and sort of exploring those different ideas of how you can bring different things together. And certainly archaeology is such a diverse subject that the fact that you find a film and sort of kind of background slotting in well doesn't really surprise me. So thank you so much, Bethany, for joining us today. That was really fascinating, and I think quite inspiring what you've managed to achieve in terms of setting up your own company. So thank you very much, Bethany.
Thank you.
And I'll see you all soon.